morning, students. We'll continue with this chapter, the desert. Last time what we studied in the first part is there are a few phrases which are there in the chapter, like an endless stretch of sand. You've already studied what a phrase is. Phrase is a group of words which make sentence but not complete sense. It does not have a subject and a verb. So here we have some meaning of these some phrases. An endless stretch of sand, which means fertile place with water and plants in a desert. We have to match these. So an endless stretch of sand, what would be? Waterless and without shelter. An oasis, we have already defined, hidden by cover of grass. So this is your work, just try to match it. And if you have any difficulty, get back to me. In our next session, I'll tell you the exact match of these following. Now continuing this chapter, desert. All living things need water in order to survive. All of you know, without water, life is not possible. The few plants and animals that live in desert have developed ability to require less water than most plants and animals. So how do animals and plants in a desert survive? They have adapted themselves to their surroundings, which means they require very less water to survive. Like for example, the camel, popularly known as the ship of the desert. It is called ship of the desert because it can survive without water for many days at a time. Can drink a lot of water at one time. Camels can do without water for days together. The reason is they sweat very little. That is, camel does not sweat. Evaporation does not take place, and whatever water it takes in is stored inside the camel only. We sweat because we must keep our body temperature constant. Like in animals, like human beings, we sweat because we have to maintain our temperature around 37 degrees centigrade. So by sweating, what happens is evaporation causes cooling, and that helps our temperature to lower down during hot season. We sweat when it gets hot, and this cools the body. Camels can stand high body temperature. They don't need to sweat and can therefore retain the water they drink for long periods of time. So this is the reason how they survive without water for a long time, because they do not sweat. The smaller desert animals do not drink water. Now you would be wondering, how do they survive? They do not drink water. They burrow. Burrow is when you go under the earth. That is called burrow. There are a lot of animals which live in a burrow, like rabbit, lizards, even snakes in deserts. They burrow underground during the hot day and come out at night to eat. They come out at night because during the night it is very cool. Some of them eat other animals and get the water they need from the moisture in the meat. So they do not drink water. So how do they get water? That is by eating other animals. Others eat plants and seeds and get the water they need from plants and juices. So what the author is trying to say here is that the animals who survive in a desert either get their water from animals they eat or plants they eat. Desert plants also adapt themselves to the life they lead. For example, cactus plants store water in their thick stems. If you have seen cactus plants, they do not have leaves, they have modified leaves. Their modified leaves are, the modified stems they appear as leaves, but they actually are stems. Their roots lie close to the surface of the ground and quickly absorb the moisture from the light rains that occasionally fall. The roots are not very deep, they are just at the surface of the ground, so any rain which falls, the plants, they absorb it immediately. The major feature of all deserts is, of course, dryness and variations of temperature. Variations of temperature here means that during the day it is very hot and the nights are very cool. In humid climates, the moisture in the air acts like a blanket and protects the earth's surface from hot rays of the sun. The absence of this blanket in desert land causes the desert to heat up rapidly during the day and to cool off rapidly at night. why the days are hot and the nights very cold. Because in other areas, the moisture in the air, it helps the earth to absorb the heat and does not let it go away. So the difference in temperature is not very high. But in a desert, you don't have moisture. So once the sun is once the sun sets, the temperatures go down and it becomes very cold. Deserts are an important part of nature's plan. They are like the dense forests and the deep oceans. Like we have oceans, like we have land, similarly, deserts are also part of our nature's plan. Just because they are hot and dry, one should not look upon them as useless parts of earth. Thank you, students. Next time, we'll continue with the question answers and comprehension check.